All right, we are back with another video lesson. Today we're going over state test questions for standard A.CED.1. This standard has a lot of information about creating equations and specifically usually linear equations and things like that. So let's hop right in. Question 1 from the spring 2017 OST. Trent plants a sunflower that is 6 inches tall. The sunflower is expected to grow at an average rate of 1.5 inches per day during the next month. Part A, create an equation that Trent can use to find the number of days X it will take the sunflower to grow to a height of 45 inches. And part B, how many days will it take the sunflower to grow to a height of 45 inches? So, this is asking us to work with linear equations. Remember, your linear equations are in the form of y equals mx plus b. Okay, b represents your what we call the y-intercept, which represents essentially your starting point. Okay. M represents the slope or the rate. Y represents your ending point, essentially. Your end, well, let's not say ending point, ending value. In the case of after you put in something for X, what will your value be? Okay. We'll put value after X. I've changed my mind 3 times on this. We're going with value after X. All right. So, what do we know? Trent plants a sunflower that is 6 inches tall. So this sunflower is starting at 6 inches tall. Since it is starting at 6 inches tall, that's going to be our B. It then says the sunflower is expected to grow at a rate of 1.5 inches per day during the next month. So we see the word rate. Another word we can use to associate this with the slope is per. Per is a great word to associate something with slope. This is going to be our M, 1.5. Okay? Now, when you look at a thing like inches per day, miles per hour, something per something is always Y per X. So in this case, days is going to represent our X. Inches is going to represent our Y. Okay? Create an equation that Trent can use to find a number of days X. So they tell us days will be X. It will take for the sunflower to grow to a height of 45 inches. So our end result, our end goal is 45. So in Y equals mx plus b, we're going to put in 45 for Y. That's our desired end goal. So now we just have to put this all in. 45 equals 1.5x plus 6. Okay? This part, the actual writing of the equation, Desmos can't do for you. You're going to have to figure out how to do that on your own. Y equals, not y equals, 45 equals 1.5x plus 6. Now it says, how many days will it take for the sunflower to grow to a height of 45 inches? This is just asking you to solve for X. So we're going to go back over basic equation solving. What I always like to tell people is I like to draw a fence, okay? Or I like to think of it as a door, right? At the end of the day, imagine when you're having a house at your party. At the end of the day, there's a point where you just want everyone to leave and you want to be by yourself, right? So X is having a party here. X wants everyone to leave. So in order for people to leave, they have to get out. So they have to go through the door. Let's talk about the 2 rules to go through the door. Rule 1, do the opposite of what you're doing. Okay, the opposite of what you're doing. And rule 2 is what you do to one side, you do to the other. You must do to the other. Okay? So now you're asking yourself, well, how do I know what to get rid of first? Well, you want to get rid of the thing that is farthest from x first, meaning that you want to get rid of this 6. Because this 1.5, this is attached to the x, right? This is directly attached to the x via multiplication. I tell people to think of it as your best friend who hangs out to clean up at the end of the party. Okay? I really go for it on this party analogy. So we're going to do the opposite of adding 6. The opposite of plus 6 is minus 6. And what I do to one side, I'm going to do to the other side. So if I minus 6 here, I'm going to minus 6 here. 45 minus 6 is 39. 6 minus 6 is 0, so that cancels out. So that's good. Now all we have left is 39 equals 1.5x. All we have left on this side of the door with x is 1.5. And eventually it gets to the point where the house is clean and even the bestie's got to go. So bestie's got to go out the door. To get rid of this 1.5, we have to do the opposite of what it's doing. Remember, if you don't see anything between a number and a variable, you assume that it is being multiplied. Okay? That means it is being multiplied. This is read as 1.5 times x. So to get rid of multiplication, you do the opposite, which is division. So 1.5 divided by 1.5 is 1. That cancels that out. That leaves you with x equals. You do 39 divided by 1.5. And I believe my calculator is gone. Please hold on one second while I go and grab my calculator. All right, we're back. So we could do 39 divided by 1.5, and that equals 26. Or, if you don't want to use that calculator, you could even use Desmos to act as the calculator. 39, and then hit slash next to your shift key. To make division divided by 1.5 is 26. Now, if you don't remember how to solve an equation, you can use Desmos for this portion. So you have to take the equation that you made, 45 equals 1.5x plus 6, and you'll see that, it doesn't do anything. Plotting single variable implicit equations is disabled, meaning that that's Desmos saying, hey, we're not allowed to do that for you. But what you can do, okay, is you can take out this 45 and you can put in y. And now it's going to give you a line, okay? And you have two options here. You can either A, scroll up all the way up to where 45 is on the y value, right here, and you'll see it as 26. Okay, scroll up to y equals 45, and it's 26. B, you could put in the equation y equals 45 and look for where they intersect, which is again 26. Or C, you could create a table by hitting this cog right here and hitting the create table button. And then you can kind of just, strong arm it till you get where you want. All right, let's start with 10. Nope, that's 21. Let's go to 20. That's 36. All right, let's go to 30. Up, that's 51. We went above. So it's between 20 and 30. 29, 49.5, not quite. 28, nope. 27, nope. 26. Oh, look at that, 45. Okay, there's different ways that you can do this in Desmos. You just have to know how to use it. You can do a surprising amount of the Algebra 1 state test without having to do any math if you know how to use Desmos. All right, so that's question 1. Let's go to question 2. A factory has two assembly lines, M and N, that make the same toy. On Monday, only assembly line M was functioning and it made 900 toys. On Tuesday, both assembly lines were functioning for the same amount of time. Line M made 300 toys per hour, and line N made 480 per hour. And line N made as many toys on Tuesday as line M did over both days. Write an equation to find the amount of hours T that the assembly lines were functioning on Tuesday. Okay. So, let's talk about line M. Okay. They didn't really leave much room to write for this question. You'll have to fix that for the future. Line M ran both days. It made 900 toys. And then on Tuesday, it made 300 toys per hour. So going back to y equals mx plus b, right? The amount of toys it made, y, is equal to 300, because that's the rate. Remember, we look at per for rate. 300x, and that includes the 900 toys that it made on Monday. Now, line N didn't make anything on Monday. However, it makes toys at a faster rate of 480 per hour. Okay. So now it says you need to write an equation that can be used to find the number of hours T that the assembly lines were functioning. Well, if they made the same amount, line N made as many toys as line M did on both days. Okay? That means that the amount of toys that they made, these Y's, will be equal. So, you have 300x plus 900 equals 480x. And you know what? You can just leave it like that. Write an equation. An equation includes an equal sign. This is an equation. That's it. Now, there is one trick to this question. It says write an equation that can be used to find the number of hours T. T in this case representing time. Okay? You cannot put this exact equation because you cannot put x, because they tell you what x is. They tell you that x is T. So this has to be 300T plus 900 equals 480T. If they give you a letter, if they give you the letter, you must use that letter. It is not optional. You cannot put 300x, 480x. It has to be T. It's not optional. All right. A company makes rectangular tablet screens. The company's new model will have the following properties. The screen height will be x centimeters, and the width will be x minus 5 centimeters. The area will be 150 square centimeters. Create an equation that can be used to find the height, x, in centimeters of the new model's screen. So, we know it's a rectangular tablet screen. Okay? Area of a rectangle is equal to length times width, or in this case, we use height times width. Okay? Usually it's denoted as length times width, though. But in this case, we'll use height. The screen height will be x. So the area will be x. The width is x minus 5. So this is times x minus 5. We put it in parentheses because that multiplication needs to go to both the x and the negative 5. If you just do x times x minus 5, you get a vastly different answer because this x gets multiplied by the x, but not the 5. So this does not work. Okay, you have to put it in parentheses. The area of the screen will be 150. So we'll take out area of the rectangle and put in 150. And at this point, you're done. You now have an equation that you can use to find x. 150 equals x times x minus 5. Equation done. Could you go farther? Yes. Could you distribute this and get, x times x is x squared, and x times negative 5 is negative 5x? You could, but you shouldn't, because this is good enough. Because if you do that, all you're doing is increasing the chance that you make a mistake and the question gets marked wrong. Don't reinvent the wheel, okay? Okay. So that will wrap up this standard. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And good luck on your test. See you next time.